Hey everybody, this is SWTOR Kamatazi, and I am currently on my stage, and I will be going over the balance spec. I'll be going over some things to note from the discipline path, however I will not be going over everything, so please read over each and every single one that is provided in the discipline path. It will potentially help you find out your own rotation that will match your playstyle. I will also be going over my utility points, which again, please read over all of it so that way you could come up with a spec that will match your playstyle. Of course, I'll be going over the basic rotation, and at the end of the video, I will be going over some player tips for everyone. For those who have been watching over all my videos, I have been going over all of the same tips in each and every single video. I will be doing another video for some more player tips past that. Anyway, to get started, I will be going over the utility points here. So under the skillful tree here, I have Jedi Resistance, which increases damage reduction by 3%. I also have Tectonic Mastery, which increases the damage dealt by Force Quake by 25%. I would normally be getting Pain Barrier, or Pain Burr, as it increases all healing received by 5%. The reason I will not be getting this is because of the second part, which does not affect redistributed life. In a sense, the only help from Pain Bearer would be when you're using your Rejuvenate, your Benevolence, as well as your Force Mend. But it does not help out when you're getting heals from Force Imbalance or your Force Serenity, even the heals you get from a couple of your damage over time abilities, which is the downfall. Under Masterful, I have Telekinetic Defense, which your Force Armor reverberates with Force Energy, blasting attackers for 4260 energy damage when it absorbs direct damage to you. The effect will not be used on the Force Armor that you place on your allies, and it cannot occur more than once every second. I also have Staggering Stratagem, which reduces the cooldown of Force Stun by 10 seconds, and in addition, targets stunned by your Force Stun will deal 25% less damage for 10 seconds when Force Stun wears off. You can also use Mind Ward, which will reduce the damage taken by all periodic effects by 15% if you do not like one of the other ones that I use. Under Heroic, I use Mental Defense, which reduces all damage taken while stunned by 30%, as well as reducing damage you take from area effects by 30%. I also use Containment, which really just gives you a second stun, as it causes your Force Lift ability to activate instantly, and it stuns your target for 2 seconds if it takes any damage, breaking the Force Lift early. I also use Force Wake, which Force Wave unbalances its targets, immobilizing them for 5 seconds, and direct damage dealt after 2 seconds ends the effect prematurely. This goes fantastic hand in hand with Containment, as your Force Wave will knock back your opponent, and then allowing you to use 1 or 2 abilities before the immobilizing effect breaks. Then you'll be able to follow through by using your Force Lift, which with Containment activates instantly, and be able to use a couple abilities from there prior to it. Prior to your target being out of that stun. Under Legendary, I use Force Mobility, which Turbulence, Healing Trance, and Force Serenity can be activated while moving. And then a good substitute in here will be Life Orb, where your Force Armor, Force Barrier, and Enduring Bastion will heal you for 1% of your total health every second, as long as they last. The healing scales up to 4% with the charges for Enduring Bastion. Some things to note: your Vanquish ability will cause your target to become vulnerable for 45 seconds, which increases the damage the target takes from force attacks by 5%. Your Force Balance will increase the damage of your next 15 damage over time abilities to have an increase in damage by 15%. The effect will last for 30 seconds. Telekinetic Throw will cause a stack of presence of mind, and with a 4 stack, and allows your next Disturbance or Vanquish to be an instant cast. And then also with Force and Balance, it will spread the Sever Force and Weaken Mind as long as the target that has those effects are damaged. And then it will spread to other targets that are within the Force and Mind area. Also with Force and Mind, it will cause your target to become overwhelmed, which increases the area of effect damage on that target and targets by 10%. Force Serenity will deal 30% more damage as long as your Weakened Mind is on the target as well. So the rotation I have set up here will be starting off with Vanquish, followed by Weakened Mind, followed by Sever Force, then Force and Presence. However, if you want to go opposite, you can always use Force and Balance first, followed by your other abilities here for Vanquish, Weakened Mind, Sever Force, in whatever order. I personally like starting off with the dots first. And then after Force and Balance will be Telekinetic Throw, which I'll be using that once or twice to proc the Disturbance, which proccing will have a glow around the ability. Followed by Project, followed by Force Quake, and then Force Serenity. You can use Force Serenity prior to Force Quake if you prefer doing that. That's player preference as well. So to show you guys, I'll be starting off with Vanquish, followed by Weakened Mind, Sever Force, Force and Balance, then Telekinetic Throw, Disturbance as is procced, followed by Project, then Force Quake, and then Force Serenity. Then you just go right back from the beginning and go through this rotation once more. Then you just keep going over and over and over again. So for some player tips here will be under your legacy, which will be the white button. Under character perks, under advancement, I highly recommend that you guys use whichever you're going to focus on primarily, such as war zones for the PvPers who like to level up in war zones or battlegrounds. Flashpoints for the PvEers who like to level up through dungeons or flashpoints. And then for the questers, I recommend you get class missions as well as exploration, as they go hand in hand very well. Under travel, as you notice I don't have on this character, I do recommend that you get the Priority Transport Personal Starship, as that will help out if you're doing your class storyline and you happen to have just finished the heroic missions on the planet and you happen to be in the middle of nowhere. Instead of having to go to the nearest flight path and take the speeder to the spaceport, you can instead click on the personal starship and be able to go straight to your starship to continue your storyline. I also recommend that you get the side planets such as ZZ-198 as well as Black Hole. If you do not know where they are on the galactic map, or you just keep forgetting on where they are, you could just get those and port straight to the planet and be able to do the class, or not class missions, but the heroic missions on this planet. Or if you like to go to the flashpoints on there in person, like I do all the time. Under convenience, I do recommend that you get the field respec, as a level that will allow you to respec just about anywhere at any time, minus in the middle of a war zone or if you're in combat. Instead of having to go to the fleet in order to respec. This comes in handy in case you're going from a DPS spec to a healer, and to replace a healer that decides to drop group in the middle of a flashpoint or an operation. You can take up that role and allow your group to keep moving. Same thing with the tank. If they had the tank gear and they were in a DPS role, the tank drops group, the person will be able to equip that tank gear, take its place, and the group could keep going. I also recommend early on that you get the field repair droid. This will allow you to repair and sell at any given time, anywhere, even in the middle of an operation, right after a difficult boss. The other three you can get in any given time, as they will still be helpful if you're farming for different things, or female droid if you happen to have male that you want to collect. Under companion, I do recommend that you do get Legacy of Altruism, where it increases the amount of companion influence that is gained from the companion gifts by 10%, and that's per one you get here. I have said in my other videos that it is a total of 30%. However, it dawned on me that it's actually from the basic to 10% gain, and then the 10% gain after that first gain for 10% of that, and then another 10% off of the second gain. Same thing with Legacy of Promptness. I do still recommend you max that one now, as it goes hand in hand with the altruism, which reduces the time taken to give gifts to companions by 20%. I have said it's a total 60%, but like the other one, it's from initial to 20% reduced, and then 20% reduced after the first one, and then the third one after the second reduction. However, it's still very useful, as it goes from about that 3-second gift giving timer down to about roughly 1.6 seconds per gift, and that still saves a lot of time if you were providing a lot of gifts to the same companion. Under global unlocks, and then other for alignment, I've been saying this on all my videos, I do recommend that you get Legacy of Unity, which is by capping out the light side alignment. Do that for one character, and then you'll be able to get the Unity ability on all your characters. Now what Unity ability does is you have to have your companion out with you in order to use it, but when you click on it, the ability to use it, both you and your companion will take half the damage for 15 seconds. It is extremely useful if you get into a tight spot. So for ship unlocks, you do not have to use any of these, as all of them are provided on the fleet. However, if you're like me and you like to train in private, I do recommend that you get the Operations Training Dummy as well as Warzone Training Dummy. For the longest time, I did not know what the Repair Droid does. Well, I did know what the Repair Droid provided, however, I did not know what those modifications did. And I recently looked at them. It is actually kind of worthless, as all it does, those modifications do is kind of increase or decrease the health on the training dummies. And you did also have one modification that caused them to take an increase in damage. Basically, armor reduction modification. If you do decide to get the Repair Droid for that, props for you. For me, it's just going to be useful for selling items while I'm on my ship. Under convenience, I do recommend that you max out Legacy Fleet Pass, as it will cause your emergency pass ability to have 0 cooldown. I do recommend that you get the Legacy Travel maxed out, as that causes your quick travel to have 0 cooldown. And then if you have their personal starship ability, if you get the improved transporter personal starship maxed out, that too will have no cooldown, essentially allowing you to port around all day, and those that do have cooldown, those abilities still will have a hard time keeping up with you. And then you could look like a badass. I do recommend they get the tactical markers, as if you are the leader for the operation or the flashpoint, you could use the tactical markers to show where you want each of the different roles, and hope that the boss fight will go a lot smoother than chaotic if you weren't using them. I also recommend they get the improved mounting. It allows you to mount while you are moving. I personally love this. I find it rather addicting. And in case I did not mention it, I'm quite sure I did though, just a reminder, if you do like train private, get the Operations Training Dummy and Warzone Dummy as well, so you're able to use it on your ship like I am in this video. That's all I have for you guys. Welcome to playing the Balanced Sage, and best of luck to you all.